Hey everyone, my name is Carlos Bermudez, and for this presentation, I will be hitting five certain questions. And for the first question, it goes, what are your reactions or feelings about the influence of mass media on the perceptions of crime and deviance? Well, in my honest opinion, we've seen forms of biasm. We've seen, not just in politics, but in racial biasm. We've seen, for example, when the case of Trayvon Martin came up, how other media platforms depicted Trayvon Martin as a thug, as a criminal looking for trouble, while others depicted him as a young minor who was sadly killed on his way back home. So, again, we've seen forms of how mass media could influence how many people think on certain situations. And for the second question, it goes, do you believe mass media creates unwanted levels of fear of crime in society? And again, it goes back to the Trayvon Martin. You know, people saw him as a criminal, as someone who was out there looking for trouble. But according to one of the articles that we read titled The Influence of Exposure of Depiction of Race and Crime, it's been statistically proven that African American or black people have been depicted as the criminal, has been seen as the suspect more than white people have been the ones who committed the crimes and all that, where they are four times more likely to be represented as criminals than police officers on television and news. So, mass media will have a huge influence on certain situations like that. Now, for the third question, how do the perceptions of crime reinforce social labeling and stereotypes? And for that one, I wanted to go to the article titled "The Constructions of Crack Mother Icons." And in this article, it goes and talks about the war on drugs and how Ronald Reagan used African American people as the stereotype crack users. It goes on to say that Reagan's administration triggered a media campaign with images and reports of drug ridden black communities and crack babies to garner support on drug policies that target African Americans. So we've seen the influence that mass media has in certain places. Even someone like the former president, sorry, used mass media as a way to drive his ideas down. And for the fourth one, what is the most important idea, concept, or research presentation in the article in retaliation and information? Basically, what was something that I found really important? Honestly, the two things I covered earlier on how mass media is used to influence what everyone thinks. For example, again, how Ronald Reagan used media advertisements to influence the war on drugs that he had by depicting African American people as, the horrible community who are out there using drugs. Well, in reality, it's mostly everyone, not just African American people. Coming from a Hispanic background, I've seen a lot of bad cases of drug uses, drug overdoses. I've seen, and I've had friends die because of an overdose who were Hispanic, for example. So I felt like seeing those two really connected to me because I've had experiences with that. And for the fifth one, it goes to discuss the theoretical perceptives best described to influence in mass media. And for that one, I really wanted to talk about the labeling theory. The labeling theory was um, those who are labeled as deviants by society and have gradually come to believe it themselves. So basically saying that something like the media, mass media, they could influence what someone actually believes that they are. You know, some people aren't lucky to believe that they are a, a good person, for example. A lot of people, maybe not here in the Central Valley, they've been depicted as criminals and people who are seen as bad people. Sorry for the for repeating myself, but they've been seen as horrible people, and they believe it, and that's something that really is tragic, and I honestly believe is something that needs to change. And yeah, that is all I need to say.